Good afternoon, everybody, and Happy New Year from Serendipity Forge. You can see my breast steaming. It's a nice, cool day here in North Carolina. It's a good, solid 40 degrees outside. It's damp, it's rainy, it's nasty. But I'm out here at the forge. Got a little fire built. We'll warm things up. Not going to do a great deal today, mainly because I'm tired. Got up early this morning. Had to do the processing on the last deer I shot, last one for the year. Lots of jerky, lots of burger, lots of roast. Good food, and all natural. I'm going to be working on another little short, just quick beginner project this morning. It's something for you beginner smiths out there to exercise yourself at the anvil and practice on your hammer control, practice on how the metal moves, practice on your techniques of drawing points and setting down stock and moving stock to where you need it to be. This is going to be a simple little project, kind of a neat project, and one that actually sells fairly well if you find the right venue. Starting stock is going to be a piece of 3/8 inch square bar. Oh, look, I just happened to notice I've got on one of our old Serendipity Forge t-shirts. We made some of these a long time ago, sold a few of them. If you're interested in something like that, I'm sure we can find something. Hope you enjoy the video. If you do, like and subscribe. If you'd like to give us some suggestions for future content, hey, leave us a comment. We always love to hear from you. And before I waste any more of your precious time, we'll move on over to the forge. So we're going to start out with that 3/8 square by drawing a short point. Notice I'm only working two sides of the steel, half face blows over the far edge of the anvil. Working it down, just drawing a short point. Make sure everything stays square, and we're good. Back in the fire. Now I'm going to come back out of the fire and use the far edge of the anvil to isolate the little tip that I drew down. See, I'm working still half face blows, isolating it from the rest of the bar stock, and thinning it down. Well, it's still not where I need it yet, so we're going to thin it out some more. Still working over the far edge. Just rotating it 90 degrees, trying to keep it flat, trying to keep it square. Now I'm continuing to keep that isolated, but I'm also drawing it out and making it longer. There, that's looking better. Now on this heat, I'm going to come to the near edge of the anvil and once again isolate the end from the rest of the bar stock. And you can see I'm drawing it down, keeping it square, half face blows, and thinning it out. And we'll come back out. And now we'll continue to draw this out. You can see I'm keeping it square, hitting it evenly, turning it 90 degrees with each blow. And you can really start to see how that stock is stretching out and becoming longer as it thins. And that's what I want. Now I've taken a nice even heat and still just continuing to thin and stretch the part that we've isolated. Now, if you haven't figured it out yet, this is going to be a leaf. The end will become the leaf, and what I'm doing now is drawing out the stem of the leaf. And right now, I'm just making sure everything's nice and even. Okay. I've got the stem as thin as I want it, pretty much. So now I'm just rounding it out. We've gone from square to hexagon on that end already. So now I'm just rounding out the end next to the leaf. I'll round out the other end shortly, but right now I want to do this side. Now as I come out this time, I'm going to take the flat side of my hammer and begin to spread the point that I'd isolated into that leaf shape. Working my hammer around the edges, spreading it the way I want it. Trying to keep things even, but not necessarily too even, because nothing in nature is ever perfectly symmetrical. Well, our leaf's pretty thin at this point, so I'm going to switch to a smaller hammer. And I'm going to work the edges some more and just draw it out a little more. I want it a little bit wider. It doesn't have to be longer, but I do want it a little wider. So as you can see, I'm working the edges, and that's leaving a little bit of a raised central vein. Now, you could stop right there and have a reasonably leaf-shaped object, but oh no, I won't stop there. I'm still just going to piddle with it for a while. And it's finally time to remove the leaf and stem from the parent stock. So we'll get out the old hardy cutter, move the camera so hopefully you can see. And out of the fire she comes. And I'll just whip that off. I never cut all the way through. I just want to cut mostly through so I can ring it off with a pair of pliers. Hammer face gets kind of hard on the hardy cutter if you make a misblow. And take the hardy cutter out immediately, because if you start working on an anvil with a hardy cutter in there and you're not paying attention, you can lose a finger. There we go. Now I'm going to draw out the back end of the stem. Once again, working it on two sides, working it flat. Trying to keep it even, trying to add a little more length and a little more taper. And I'm going to struggle a little bit with those tongs, but they're what I have laying to hand, and I just can't be bothered to get a smaller pair out. Now I've got the stem all rounded over and drawn out where I want it. Time to add a little texture to this leaf. So I'm just using a rounded chisel. Just gonna knock in a few veins. Right now I'm just marking that central vein the way I want it with the light hammer. Then I'll go back and get the bigger hammer and make them deeper. Now, leaf back out of the fire, and I'll take that rounded chisel and knock in a few veins. You don't have to use a rounded chisel. You can use a sharp chisel and cut in little tiny veins like some leaves have. Just use your imagination. This part isn't critical at all. And I'm just messing around here anyway. So I'll knock in these veins with the rounded chisel. And at about this point, I decide I'm not happy with it and I want to add more texture to the leaf. No worries, I have the tools to do it. So this time, I'll use my cross peen hammer, and using the peen, I'm going to go back over where I knocked in the deeper veins and just add a little texture. One side and then the other. I'm not hitting it hard because I don't want to spread the vein to spread the leaf any more than it already is. I want to try to keep it sort of symmetrical, but not completely symmetrical. Like I said, nothing in nature has exact symmetry. Just working it out, knocking in a little texture. And now that I'm happy with the shape and texture of my leaf, I need to give it a little depth. So I'm using a piece of 2x4 and a tiny ball peen hammer. That leaf wouldn't be nearly as interesting if it's just flat and lying there and two-dimensional. So we get it hot. And over to that piece of 2x4 and smack it with the ball peen. Now I'm hitting the back side of the leaf, the textured sides down, and driving it down into a little hollow that's been burned into the 2x4. And you can see that just adds a little shape to it, makes the edges of the leaf flow a little better. Makes it look like a leaf instead of just a two-dimensional cutout. Now, this time we've got the stem hot. And I'm going to take those pliers and just start working the stem, bending it. Nothing here has to be perfect, nothing here has to be pretty, nothing here has to be symmetrical. Just let it do what it wants. I'm going to bend a loop. Sorry about the bad camera work, I'm filming alone today. Going to bend a loop onto the back side, onto the stem. Probably take a couple heats. Like I said, it's cold in the forge and that metal's really thin and loses heat fast. I actually should have done this at the horn of the anvil. Would have made for a better show, but then I'd had to reposition my camera, fiddle around with that. And since I'm filming by myself and I really can't see what the camera sees, I'm doing the best I can. Got too cold on me. Could have been done all in one heat if I'd just used the horn. But no, I didn't want to move the camera and mess around anymore. That's what I get for being lazy. Trying to quench off part of the loop to keep the bends even, and there's that sloppy camera work again. I guess I should have brought my daughter out here to film. Still working with it, still getting too cold too quick on me. We'll get there eventually. But even though it's really thin and loses heat really quick, it's really thin and it gets hot quick. Matter of fact, got to be careful and not burn the thing. Don't ask me how I know about that. And now I'm just bending it around, twisting the end of the stem, and closing the loop. And there you go. We'll get it hot, give it a quick brush up. Yep, quick brush up. Just trying to knock some of the scale off. Clean it up a little bit. Work it around, get all the sides. And there we go. Well, we're almost done with this little project. Need to give it a little protective coating of linseed oil. I need an old towel, a rag, something for the... there it is. Gotta have a real cleanup in here one of these days. Just gonna wipe a little linseed oil on it while it's warm. And that'll help protect it, help stop rust. And it'll still keep that forged finish that everybody seems to like so much. And there we go. Add a split ring and it's ready to go on a keychain. Here we are, we're back in the house. Project's all finished up. Forgotten left it at the forge, or I'd show it to you. And it's pouring rain and I'm not going to get it right now. So, but like I said, just another little project. Little leaf key ring. We've sold several of those over the past few years. Good practice for anybody that wants to learn. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. We'd be glad to hear from you. Till next time.